Oliver and Henry. Hi, Shabbat Shalom. You know what, guys? Let's sing people in. You can't hear me?
טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. Welcome to those who just joined us online. מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה 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 מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד.
We can pick it back up again if you like.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Welcome to our friends in the Zoomiverse and beyond. We're glad we're all together, whether you're here in the room or somewhere a little farther away. I want to be able to say thank you always to friends that come and play music in our band, and I sometimes forget. Thank you, band. We're going to pick up where we just briefly took a little pause. It's so good to be together. Hine ma tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad, or la la la, either one.
Let's hear you sing. מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד.
Once more.
הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. It's nice to see you.
Yeah. So I want to welcome everybody, and I just have a few announcements before we begin, just to make sure that everybody feels welcome and they know all the resources that we have to offer throughout the service, should you need them. The first, by the way, is that if you didn't grab a prayer book, you can find them right there. Kippot, if you want them, are in the corner right where I'm pointing. If you need your bathrooms, they're located in the back over here, and all gender and handicap accessible bathrooms are located in the main office and downstairs. And if you happen to be nursing, you can use my office for that. If you need assisted listening devices, they're right outside, as well as large print prayer books. And if for some reason we're misusing the microphone or we need to speak slower, please just raise your hand and let us know. We would love to correct to make sure that you can understand and you can hear us. Our usher today is Nina, who can raise her hand over there. And if you need anything, she can direct you to anything that you need. And finally, it's all of our responsibility, and I'll be talking about this in my sermon as well, to make sure that anyone who walks through the door feels welcome. So make a point tonight to introduce yourself to someone that you don't know. If you see someone lost in services, feel free to jump in, tell them what page number we're on. One final thing, I'll introduce him at the end as well, but it's our pleasure to welcome our rabbinic intern for next year. And we haven't had a rabbinic intern in my tenure and for years even before that. And so we're overjoyed to be able to welcome James Fetter, who you'll get to know much better over the next number of months, starting in September. You won't actually see him really until September. But at that point, he's going to be teaching and leading services, and you will feel inspired by the wisdom he has to offer. So with that, we're going to turn to page number 24 as we move into the words of Shalom Aleichem.
Malachi Asharet, Malachi Elyon, Nami Melech, Malachi Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Malachi Asharet, Malachi Elyon, Melech Malachi Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bochem Shalom, Malachi Shalom, Malachi Elyon, Melech Malachi Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni לשלום, baruchuni לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון, ממלך מלאכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך. צא איתכם לשלום, צא איתכם לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון, ממלך מלאכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. שלום עליכם, שלום עליכם, מלאכי השרת, מלאכי עליון, ממלך מלאכי המלכים, הקדוש, 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 ברוך, ברוך הוא, ברוך הוא.
So we're going to move into formally welcoming Shabbat now. We're on page 2 and 3 as we prepare to light our candles for tonight. And in honor of all of the work that she put into making tonight possible, with so much love and care, I want to invite our VP of Membership, Diane Lavenda, who's going to light our candles now. And in addition to that, since we're going to go directly from that into our Kiddush, we're going to invite Lexi and Benny Katz up. Lexi, who became Bat Mitzvah a few years ago, Benny, who is learning this prayer in order to become Bar Mitzvah very soon, to lead us in Kiddush. We're on page 2 and 3.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light.
Have faith.
Baruch Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kedeshanu b'mitzvotov v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. We're on page 5 as we move into our prayer over our wine, our kiddush.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'achava uvratzon hinhilanu zikaron l'maaseh v'reishit ki hu yom tehila l'mikra'e kodesh zeher l'tziat Mitzrayim kivanu v'harta v'yotanu kidashta mikol hamim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinhaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mikadesh hashabbat.
L'chaim.
It might be grape juice. We're on page 20 as we join together in L'chadodi.
Ya la 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 l'chadodi. La la la. Ya la 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 likrat kala. Likrat kala. La 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 b'nei Shabbat. B'nei Shabbat nekabe. Ya la 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 l'chadodi. La la la. Ya la 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 likrat kala. Likrat kala. Ya la 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 b'nei Shabbat. B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor v'diburecha yishmianu el hameyuchad Adonai echad u'shmo echad l'shemu tiferet v'litechila v'litechila.
Let's hear you. Yai, nai, nai.
Ya la 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 l'chadodi. Ya la la ya la 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 likrat kala. Ya la 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 b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Likrat Shabbat alechu ben elecha
Ki mekor haberacha
מראש מקדם נסוכה סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה
Let's hear you.
Yai, yai, yai. Ya la 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 l'chadodi. Ya la la
Ya la 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 likrat kala. Ya la 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 b'nei Shabbat Pnei Shabbat Nikavela. Verse number 5, Hitoreri. 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 Kivaorech kumi ori. Ori. Shir daveri. Kevod Adonai. Alayich nigla. Alayich nigla.
Let's hear you. Ya la la ya la 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 lechadoti. Ya la 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 ya la 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 likrat kala. Ya la 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 Pnei Shabbat. Pnei Shabbat nikavela.
Verse number 9, we turn toward the door.
Boi vi shalom ateret bala
Gam besimcha
ובצהלה תוך אמוני עם סגולה בואי כלה בואי כלה בואי כלה
Let's hear you. Ya la la
Ya la 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 lechadoti. Ya la la ya la 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 likrat kala. Likrat kala.
Ya la 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 Pnei Shabbat. Pnei Shabbat Nikavela.
Once more. Ya la 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 lechadoti. Ya la la
Ya la 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 likrat kala.
likrat kala.
Ya la 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 Pnei Shabbat. Pnei Shabbat Nikavela. We remain standing, verse number 20, page number 28.
Join us.
Ya
ברכו את אדוני המבורך.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach LeOlam Vaed.
ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד.
We're seated together. Page 31. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars, creator of the tide of time and light. You guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Those words, that nature moves in cycles, that darkness rolls to light and light rolls into darkness, is the foundational principle of time and of light. And so I'll invite us to turn our attention to the screen as we celebrate the cycle of nature with this next prayer.
Into darkness,
roll into light. Light becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Page 32. Ahavat olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha ahavta. Torah u'mitzvot, hukim u'mishpatim, otanu limadeta. Al ken Adonai Eloheinu, b'shokmeinu v'kumeinu, nasiach b'chukecha, v'nismach b'divrei Toratcha, ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו באורך ימינו, באורך ימינו, ובהם נגע יומם ולילה, יומם ולילה.
ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני
Page 36.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
In a moment, we're going to turn to page 40. And earlier, about an hour ago, Cantor Greenberg and I were leading a service for our youngest students, our tots in the other room. And one of the things about this next prayer, Mi Chamocha, is that it is usually the point where the kids end up in a dance party. They're jumping, they're singing, they're holding hands. And there's something about being an adult that just ruins it for us. This is the moment that kids usually freak out. And because it is the prayer for freedom. It's what we sang when we crossed the sea. So if you want to get on your feet, if you want to dance in your seat, if you want to clap your hands, do all of that as we join together in Mi Chamocha.
Mi chamocha bailim Adonai. All together. Mi chamocha bailim Adonai. Mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh. Nora tekirot osefele. Nora tekirot osefele. All together. Malechutecha ra'u banecha. Ukeyaya lifnei Moshe u'Miriam. Adonai yimelo leolam voed. Adonai yimelo leolam voed. One more time on ya ya la la ya ya la la ya la la. Double clap. Ya la 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 ya ya la la ya la la. יללה, 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 ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב, ויהיה לו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל.
We're on the bottom of page 44. Another song of joy and happiness, Yismechu.
ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי, שומרי, שומרי שבת וקורא עונג שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי, שומרי, שומרי שבת וקורא עונג שבת. מקדשי שביעי שבת. כולוס ישמעו ויתענגו מטובך שבת.
Let's hear you.
ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי, שומרי, שומרי שבת וקורא עונג שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי, שומרי, שומרי שבת וקורא עונג שבת. רצית בו וקידשתו שבת, חמדת ימים אותו קראת שבת.
Let's hear you.
ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי, שומרי, שומרי שבת וקורא עונג שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי, שומרי, שומרי שבת וקורא עונג שבת. זכר למעשה בראשית שבת. זכר למעשה בראשית שבת.
Let's hear you.
ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי, שומרי, שומרי שבת וקורא עונג שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי, שומרי, שומרי שבת וקורא עונג, 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 עונג שבת.
I haven't felt that much energy since 2020. So the amazing thing about services is that we go with peaks and valleys. And there are times that are more introspective, and then there are times that are more like what we just experienced. We're going to move into one of those introspective times. We're on page 46, and after this opening meditation, We'll move into silence through page 64, praying either the words on the page or the words in our heart. And so we rise together, page 46.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha.
Just going to lift up these last few words. Feel free to just keep praying privately or tap the microphone, either one.
Ose shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'yimeru. Amen. Join us.
Ose shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'yimeru. Amen.
May the oneness that makes peace possible.
May the oneness who makes peace possible fill us with hope and let us say amen. May the oneness who makes peace possible fill us with hope and let us say amen. Ose shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל ואמרו
אמן,
אמן
אמן,
אמן אמן At this point in our service, we have the opportunity to offer a Mishaberach. And I'll ask you to join me on page 253. And when the time comes, I will look around the room and I'll ask you to add names of those people that you're offering this prayer for. Mishaberach avotenu v'imotenu, Avraham, Yitzchak, v'Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, v'Leah, hu yivarech et hacholim. May the one who blessed our ancestors Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebekah, Rachel, and Leah, bless and heal those who are ill. For those folks on Zoom, you can put those names in the chat as well. And may the Blessed Holy One be filled with compassion for their health to be restored and their strength to be revived. May God swiftly send them a complete renewal of body and spirit. And let us say, Amen. Mishaberach avotenu mekor habracha limotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishaberach imotenu mekor habracha liavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Shabbat Shalom. Tonight, I want to reflect a little bit on the nature of what it means to be in community, the nature of what it means to be a member of a place like this. Now, the impetus for tonight, Membership Shabbat, is the idea that you all are the reason that we exist. You all sustain this congregation. You make this place work. And so the least we can do is once a year buy you dinner. But the truth is, there's so much more that you do as part of this community. And to understand your role, every single one of you, I want to go to this week's Torah portion. Because in it, we meet the high priest. And that priest has a special role. We're told in this week's Torah portion, which is actually a double portion, Tazria and Mitzorah this week and next week cover the same ground, skin disease that would happen to you in the ancient wilderness. And this particular week begins the cycle of how to diagnose and what to do if somebody were to come down with this ancient skin ailment, sara'at. Next week talks about the cure. I want to merge those two themes because the main player, besides the person who is sick, right, the person with that strange, scaly affliction which causes them to have to leave the camp is actually the priest. He is the one in a world without doctors who diagnosed that person. He is the one who decides whether that person leaves or stays. He is the one who eventually brings that person back in. The hero of the story, though the protagonist is the person who is sick, the hero is actually the priest. Now, how does that have to do with being in community? The truth is, we are all, in our own way, priests. In fact, the Torah tells us that we are supposed to be a kingdom of priests and holy people, which means that we have the same role that the priest does. When someone finds themselves outside of that camp, every single one of us has the obligation to figure out a way to bring them in. Yes, the priest quarantines that person with that skin affliction for 7 days, but the more crucial role, the more holy role, the most important of those roles is to find a way to bring that person in. And next week, we read about a strange ritual that involves shaving of the head, that involves blood being sprinkled on pieces of the body, that involves utilizing animals and wood in order to sprinkle that blood. But to do so, to bring that person back, that is the holy work of the priest. And I've been thinking a little bit about the members that I haven't seen for the past few years. Some of whom I see very well on the computer each week. Others I'm seeing actually for the first time in person tonight. But even so, even if there wasn't a pandemic, there's a cycle that synagogues go through where members come and members go, where members are more active and members are less active. And for some, it might be that your work is overbearing. For others, it might be that your relationship to Judaism ebbs and flows. For others, it might simply be that you need your Judaism at certain points in your life and you don't need it as much at others. But for still others, they find themselves outside of the camp, feeling a little bit like the Mitzorah, the person who has come down with the skin disease, because of a failure on our part to fully include them. They find themselves, in a way, cast out, not for those 7 days, but until they can find an avenue back. And I'll speak about a few examples. By the way, this weekend is International Infertility Awareness Shabbat by an amazing organization called Yesh Tikva. And the first time that I ever really understood what it was like for someone to be cast out of the Jewish people, to feel that way, was when I was talking to a young couple early in my tenure as a rabbi who was struggling with infertility. And they said to me, there is no place for me anymore. Every time I walk in, I see these young families. When I try to interact with people my age, people have babies, people have 2-year-olds, people have 5-year-olds. And I feel like I am other. There is no role for me. And because it was so painful for them to show up, they stopped coming. Now, luckily, I knew that, and I was able to keep a finger on them until they finally were able, in a way, to conceive and to feel comfortable enough to come back in. But there are so many others who never reach that role. I've talked to people who have dealt with loss. They've lost a spouse or they've lost a good friend, and stepping in here reminds them of that loss. They can't take the class that they used to because they see that empty seat beside them. They can't go to services because they miss that voice singing next to them. So they disappear. And we may not notice them, but weeks and weeks go by and they do not appear. They are gone. Still, there are others. Others who come for the first time to our community, ready to learn, ready to pray, only to have no one talk to them. And to find that they feel like they are on the outside of that camp all the time. And so they give 1, 2, 3 shots, and then they don't appear anymore. They might be members in name only, but they are not here in presence. There are countless examples of times when circumstance and triggers within a community cause someone to find themselves not in the midst of the camp, but fully outside it. And although it's my role, and it's Cantor's role, and it's Ronnie's role to make sure that we can bring people back into the fold, we as a kingdom of priests and holy people have to understand that it's not just our job. You notice the absences as much, if not more, than we do. You are the priests, which means that if you've seen someone who is alienated, you've seen someone who is not coming, you've seen an absence, it's your job to reach out. In fact, it's not just your job, it's your obligation. I was thinking about the idea of membership earlier today, and I was thinking about that famous credit card commercial. Membership comes with its benefits. It comes with its perks. But Judaism is countercultural because membership doesn't come with its benefits and its perks alone. It also comes with its obligations, which means just by nature of the fact that you are part of Temple Ner Tamid, you are responsible. You are standing beside someone, and if they are hurting and if they are in pain, it becomes your problem too. You need to help them solve that problem so that they can step foot back into that camp. You need to be that person to create that moment where they can feel like they can fully engage together and back in the community that they once knew. They cannot do it alone. There's a famous story in the Talmud about Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, who is an incredible faith healer. In fact, he would go to people's houses who were sick, put his hands on them, and make them feel better. The only problem was that when Rabbi Yochanan got sick, his students came around his bed, and it was his students who helped him to get better. Now, the Talmud asks a really important question, which is, how come this guy, who was a faith healer for everyone else, couldn't do it for himself? The answer the Talmud gives is, quote, a prisoner cannot free himself from prison. You cannot make yourself feel like you belong. You cannot make yourself feel like you are important. You cannot make yourself shed the insecurities and the fears and the anger and the worry and the disillusionment and even the loss of faith that will inevitably come if you are in a community from time to time. But others can do it. Others can stand there with an open arms and open heart, with open eyes and open mouth, and can tell you that you belong and that you matter. The priest before you, the friend before you can do that. We as a kingdom of priests and a holy people are on the front lines of helping people feel like they matter and that they belong, and to lose that obligation to not do your sacred task is as hard and as problematic as it would have been in the ancient world for the priest to stand idly by and let that person after 7 days stay in the wilderness rather than come back in. Most of us at some point will wander. Most of us at some point will feel other. Most of us at some point will feel outcasts. Whether it's because of a challenge in your life, whether a divorce or a death, dealing with an aging parent that is bearing down on you, whether it is the feeling of a loss of faith, whether it's coming one too many times and not clicking with other people, whether it's a statement that was said in ignorance or maybe no statement at all. Every single one of you will question your place here. That is the nature of being part of community. The goal, though, is that other people pick you back up. The goal, though, is that other people bring you into the fold. The goal is that other people understand that your place is in the tent beside them rather than wandering in the wilderness out there. And when they do that, every single one of us will live in the footsteps of the priests of old, being that kingdom of priests and holy people and building the world and the community that we seek to see. Shabbat Shalom. We're going to move now, page 282, as we rise together for Aleinu.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'tet gedula liotzer breshit, shelo asanu kigaye haratzot, velo samanu kemishpachot adam ha, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, vegor aleinu kechol hamonam. V'anachnu korim u'mishtachavim u'modim livnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu v'nemar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz Bayom hahu, yeh Adonai echad, u'shemo echad.
Please be seated. We pause at the conclusion of our service to think of those who we've loved and who we have lost. This Shabbat, we recall the following individuals: Emmanuel Abraham, Ann Abrams, Kenton Benedict, Harold Berman. You can rise as I call each of the names if this is one of your loved ones. Neil Elson, Benno Fittingoff, Dora Forum, Bess Forum, Alex Glasser, Rudolph Gross, Aaron Kaplan, Fanny Malik, Barbara June Menkes, Benjamin Minsky, Lottie Nyman, Benjamin Opatot, Sylvia Pimes, Ida Radish, Maurice Rich, W.T. Rooney, Alma Rose, Mildred Rudolph, Gilda Savitt, Charles Singman, Beryl Sondak, William Tilkin, Vincent Urzo, Caroline Weikersheimer, Patricia Woodward, Julia Yassin, Albert Yerkowitz, and Stephen Zeisel. Those who are in their Shiva and Shloshim periods of mourning, we recall our member Herb Stein. And I announce the death, though the burial will take place on Sunday, of Miriam Schlang, beloved mother of our longtime teacher and Hebrew coordinator, Nami Rotke. Feel free to reach out to Nami if you need her information. I can, to offer your condolences. Nami right now is in Israel, and funeral and Shiva will be there. In addition, I'll invite anyone who's observing a yard site, whether for family or friends, to please rise and join those who are standing and to share their names if you've got it. And I'll invite you to join those who are standing if you're within your 1 year period of mourning, either for a friend or a family member. We turn to page 294 and we join together in the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah, v'yamad divrach yirtzei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayachon uv'yom echon uv'chayet l'chol Beit Israel, ba'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam olamei almaya, yiparach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudasha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, damiram b'yama v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al Israel. Amen. Please be seated. So before we move into our closing song, and songs actually, we've got two. A few announcements. We have a really, really busy few weeks leading up through Pesach. So tomorrow morning, 8:45, we're really blessed that Lisa Westreich is going to be leading our yoga. And then we've got a service. We actually do not have, it's one of the rare Shabbats where we do not have a bar or bat mitzvah, which means we need help making a minyan. If you can join us in the morning, make sure that you join us. At 8:30 also is our Torah study services that I mentioned, 10 a.m. In addition to that, a number of other things. The first is on Sunday at 1 o'clock. We're going to be joining in the mitzvah day of the Federation of Greater Metro West. We're going to be working on a project which is known as the Period Project, which basically is creating care packages for people who are entering into homeless shelters who may not have access to sanitary supplies and diapers and other things that they might need in order to live. We are good at giving out food, but there's other things that people who are in need, and so we're going to be packing those boxes up and sending them, and there's still, I think, a few more spots left in that. In addition, the next week, we've got a number of events happening. On the 7th, we've got the Women's Seder, if you want to say a word about that, Cantor.
Cutoff for joining us and RSVPing is Sunday night. Absolutely last moment. Come and join us. Our Women's Seder annual every year. You can join us virtually. Most women, it seems, I think, are going to come in person, but you absolutely can come virtually, and we would love to have you, but Sunday night.
Since you're speaking anyways, the 9th, tell me a little bit about the Dylan Cafe.
I would love to tell you about the Hav Dylan Cafe. Saturday night, it is not only Bob Dylan's 80th.
He's closing in on 81.
He's closing in on 81, but we're still within the 80 year. But also, this Bob is also going to have a birthday on the same night that we're doing incredible, the Hav Dylan Cafe. What you may or may not know, but we've had them a few times. This is our 6th time, right? Or this is our 7th? The time. So the Reticence, a really fabulous band made up of local talented musicians that also know a whole heck of a lot of Bob Dylan songs, are going to come and do a full night of Dylan covers, hence Hav Dylan Cafe. Come, bring wine, beer, soda, whatever. We're going to have desserts. We're going to have a great night. Lots of music, lots of good times. You're all welcome, but you need to RSVP.
And this year is also the return of our second night Seder.
Yay.
So that's going to be on the second night of Passover, which is the Saturday night.
It's a
I
really
think
creative name.
the 15th, or the 16th, I think. And so come, it's at 5:30, it's family friendly, intergenerational. I'm leading it and would love to see you there. And with that,
the one other thing, which is that the evening of Passover, the final Friday night of Passover, which is the 22nd, we are going to do an evening Yisker service. And the following morning, both Saturday mornings, we will have festival Passover service, so please come and join us. I'm going to do an early morning chanting circle as well, a little extra hallel for those who like to chant at 9 a.m. each of those Saturday mornings. Come and join us.
and if we're going that far, one more.
It wasn't any further.
Which,
oh, I guess it was.
which
a
is that night. So the 8th night, like when the 8th day ends, Motzei Passover.
23rd.
The 23rd, we are having a bread fest here at the congregation. But it's not just us eating. We have a great relationship with a Turkish Muslim community. It happens to also be Ramadan, which means that they're going to have a Ramadan break fast at the same time that we're breaking Passover, and we're going to break bread, our respective kinds of bread, bagels and pizza and pita and rugelach and all that good stuff, and talk about the role that bread plays, carbs play in our respective traditions, and join us for that. So with that, Cantor, we'll end.
We're going to end with some words of inspiration. Rabbi tasked us all with being builders of the community we want. That is one that sources first from chesed, from love. Put ourselves out of our comfort zone to create, hopefully, the community where everyone can belong. So we chant these words.
Olam chesed yibane.
On the screen.
Yarara, yarara, ilai.
Olam chesed yibane. We'll build this world with love.
Olam chesed yibane.
Yarara, yarara, ilai.
Olam chesed yibane.
Yarara, 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 la 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 la.
Olam chesed yibane. Yarara,
Olam chesed yibane. Yarara, la 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 la. Olam chesed yibane. Yarara, la la la. Olam chesed yibane. Olam chesed yibane.
I will build this world.
I will build this world from love. Yadadai,
And you must build, and you
must build this world
from love. Yadadai,
And if we build this world,
And if we build this world
world
from
from
love,
love, yadadai, then God will build, then
God will build this world from
God will build this
love.
world from love. Yadadai,
one last time.
Olam chesed yibane. Yadadai, Olam chesed, Olam chesed. Yadadai, yadadai.
So we'll end with words of blessing, and as we move into blessing each other, and by the way, if you're here with somebody, feel free to bless them. Otherwise, bless those who are around you with the priestly benediction. A few thank yous for tonight. Thank you to Michelle W. Malkin, who's back there, who made the logistics of everything happen. Thank you, Diane Lavenda, who got everything working. I think they're both setting up. Thank you to our band. Thank you to the other band, which is going to play in the other room with some overlap, but not fully. And one more time, I want to introduce, if you want to just stand up and wave, James Fetter, who is going to be our rabbinic intern starting in September. And so make a point to introduce yourself to him. Make your point to introduce yourself to someone you don't know. And so being as part of this community, we're going to bless each other.
And feel free to just, if you can, get a little cozy.
May God bless you with all good. May God keep all evil from you. And may God lift your heart with wisdom and grace you with all truth. May God lift up God's merciful face and shine on you for all time. And may God bless you. Eternal peace.
So I'm going to try and send these words to you. May God bless you. May God bless you with all good. With all good. May God keep all evil. May God keep all evil from you. And may God fill your heart with the wisdom. And may God fill your heart with wisdom and grace you. And grace you with all truth. May God lift up God's merciful face and shine on you
For all
time. And may God grant you eternal peace. Eternal peace.
Do we have a challah, Rabbi?
We have lots of bread in there, but
All
we'll
right.
say the motzi and then go eat. So together, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
B'te'avon. Shabbat shalom.